Hello, Brian here again, and today's video is for you first-year history teachers out there. I know there's a lot that's going on for you, a lot that you're trying to sort through and organize, and so today's video is just provide you 5 quick tips that I think are going to improve your instruction this year and improve your teaching practices in the years to come. So let's just jump right in. Tip number 1, focus on skills, not content. There's so much content and you're going to feel so much pressure to get everything done. And can I just tell you, most of what you do when you're under that pressure to cover material, students are not going to remember, not going to retain. But the historical thinking skills that you embed into your daily practices are going to reap incredible benefits for your students long term, no matter what field, profession, vocation they choose to go into. Tip number 2. Tip number 2 really ties in closely with tip number 1, and that's dare to omit. There are going to be things that you have to gloss over. There are going to be things that you have to cut out of the course entirely, even though they're in the standards, and that's okay. If you need to go an extra day, an extra 2 days, an extra 3 days into something because there's depth there, there's rigor, there's student interest and engagement with what you're doing, and it's producing really critical thinking, that's okay. It's okay to change things as you go, because at the end of the day, students are going to remember the things that really intrigued and grabbed a hold of their attention, not the things that we cram in the last 10 minutes or we choose to add into lecture notes. Tip number 3 is to pick a focal point. There are a lot of things that you can focus on when you are first developing your curriculum. You're going to see historical themes. You're going to see historical thinking skills. You're going to see reasoning process. You're going to see periodization. And if you try to focus on all of it, you're going to get lost and your students are going to be just kind of caught up in the weeds here. So my advice is to pick a focal point that you're going to use. Maybe you just start off by looking at some different themes of history, and you have those posted, and when you come to them, you point that out and you show students that this is connecting here to that theme. And maybe you have students help you understand what themes this topic relates to. But if you try to do reasoning processes and themes and thinking skills and all of this and try to highlight that every day for every class period, you're just going to get yourself confused. So pick a focal point. Number 4 is, I guess, more in terms of overall structure and planning of your lessons. And this applies really to more than just history, but all subject areas. And that's to start advanced. Start with the depth and the complexity that you're looking for from your advanced students when you design your lessons. And then, as you need to, you scale back and you scaffold down and provide those tiers of support for your students who need that differentiation. If you try to do it the reverse, you're going to really hit a wall where you're not able to plan sort of a more basic, simplistic lesson and then take that to the next levels of rigor. So make sure you start and plan your lessons from an advanced viewpoint, and then you can scale those things back as necessary. And tip number 5, I put this as number 5 because I think it's so important and it has kind of several layers to it. So let's break this down. Tip number 5 is to make connections. On a real human level, we need to make connections as instructors, as history teachers with our students. We are living in just a crazy world, and our students are coming from all different backgrounds and all different avenues of life, and so we have to be able to connect with each and every single one of them where they are. How can we connect things that are happening in the ancient world or the medieval world or in U.S. history with things that students are grappling with today? And that's the goal of an instructor, is to make those connections throughout history to where our students are and help them to have that relevancy in their lives. And then, in another third layer of making those connections, help your students see those patterns and connections over time and across geographic boundaries. But really, there's a lot of connective tissue, you could say, strands that we can focus on as history teachers that will help illuminate to students how connected we are as a world. And it doesn't matter if you're teaching a national history like U.S. history or a world history or even just something like economics. Those connections are so prevalent in everything that we do. And so my challenge to you is to make connections with your students, make connections between the past and present, and make connections within your discipline.